Alright, I'd like to welcome you guys to this week's report. I apologize for the poor quality of the audio, but my microphone stopped working, and I only realized that after they shot this entire video, and it had no sound. So, onward and upward. Once again, my apologies. Pretty good fishing this week. We had good coastal fishing, good offshore fishing in a lot of areas. We just came off the super blue moon or blue super moon or one of the others here yesterday. Today's the 31st, Thursday, and not sure why they call it that, but it certainly made for some interesting fishing this week. I got a little bit of weather to deal with. Friday, Saturday, looks like we're gonna have some south wind along the beach, and then Sunday it looks more westerly, but there is some wind, and that south wind really sucks when you're in the water. So just be aware of it and keep a look at the weather forecast. It's not always accurate when they predict that, but use your own judgment. I know I got stuck out in some pretty serious south wind a few weeks ago. It was miserable, but I don't know. I don't think it'll affect sport boats, but private boaters may want to give it a consideration if you're heading out. Speaking of heading out, let's head up to the Channel Islands. Continue good fishing up there, both along the beach and at the islands. I know we're getting one of the boats up there had limits of calicos and rockfish on the local trip the other day. And the boats fishing Santa Cruz Island are having calico bass, sea bass, halibut, whole mix of a few yellowtail. Not wide open on anything, but good calico bass fishing. And I had Vincent Benlock send me in a photo of a nice calico he caught on a Shimano hardbait up at the Santa Cruz on the Aloha Spirit. So that's thanks for sending that in. And anytime you guys have anything you want to share, I'm happy to do so. The bluefin are still biting up that way as well. The Aloha Spirit had one. I know some of the private boaters had much better fishing than that out there. All of them are running gun fishing, cast lures. They're getting a lot of service iron up there. They'll eat the popper, they'll eat the subwalk, all that same stuff they do down here. Speaking of down here, I fished PV on Friday, and we launched at 8, and we didn't have a fish on the boat at 10:30. Not even, a couple bites, didn't even connect, and then ended up around PV and saw a few fish boiling on small bait. Threw that little slug for a while, got a few short bites, couldn't hang anything, and I talked Matt into tying on a hard bait, which he wasn't too happy about doing, as you can tell in this video here, but it ended up being a good call.
Much of a leader. It's gonna have to work.
Nice tippet you got there.
Huh?
Nice
Right?
long tippet you have there.
Well, I'm sorry, that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make another leader just to satisfy you. Up, see?
I told you. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. I'll tip it for this one.
Yep.
Got any more smart ass comments?
No sir,
Ow.
you're doing a good job.
So once we dialed in the presentation these fish wanted, it became pretty easy fishing, and it got even better when the birds started getting on these bass and the bait they were boiling on. There were times where there was bass boiling for 100 yards around the boat, and it was basically just like running gun fishing for calicos. It was just us and an urchin diver up there and another boat probably half a mile away. So we pretty much had the area open to race around and cast these hard baits. And these areas where these bass were feeding is a lot of that kelp is growing back, but it's not quite to the surface yet. So all that kelp is still 5 or 6 feet shy of coming to the surface, but those bass are still feeding in there. And the nice thing about having birds on them is you can kind of predict where they're going to be, unlike just having this vast expanse of empty water. But as you can see in this next video here, it got pretty good after a while.
All right, where are they boiling?
Right off the bell.
All right, let me get over there.
Right there. Look at him. Look at him. Right at the bird. Run and gun calico fishing.
It really is.
Yeah. Come back this way.
on it.
Oh my God. Whoa! Look at that beauty.
Coming in hot.
That's a bull bass right there. That right there is California beauty.
California gold.
Well, I'm just not buying it.
So another inshore news, a little bit deeper. On Tuesday, I fished with Bobby Martinez. We had to go out and shoot some photos for a deep water rockfish article, and I'll tell you what, that with today's new modern tackle, that's pretty fun. Bobby had a couple of these JDM Daiwa electric reels about the size of a 400 bait caster, and on a fairly, just like a light jig stick.
Biting pretty good today.
And we're fishing those in up to 900 feet of water and catching a lot of really quality rockfish, which was great. We also got a lot of those Mexican rockfish, which they call them Mexican reds, but you don't want them. They're pretty horrible. Gross texture, gross taste, gross everything. We look like a salmon grouper, only worse. Luckily, Bobby had his descender on the boat, so we let them all go safely and had limits of really nice quality fish. Afterwards, we decided to take a look for tuna, and I had thought about calling Bobby and ask him to bring some tuna gear along, but I figured he's always got all kinds of tackle on the boat anyway, so I didn't want to bother. And it turns out he did not. So he had one jig stick with some old 40-pound line on it and a couple of Daiwa, I don't remember what they're called. They kind of look like a flat ball or a Cold Sniper. Zakana, maybe. So, of course, we found bluefin right away, but they weren't biting in the beginning. Just see foamers popping up, small spots. You cast right it, they wouldn't bite.
Wow, look at those.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, where those birds are. Yeah, you're not gonna catch those, they get tight.
Come
Come on,
on,
hang one.
come on.
Wacky tunas.
But as often happens with bluefin, after an hour or so, they started to actually bite. We found some fish about 1 3/4, 2 miles off the beach outside of Laguna that we had to ourselves. There was boats well down below us. First foamer Bobby casts into, he gets spit on his jig. Nice sized fish, probably 80 pounds plus. Swallows the jig, takes the line, chews through his 40-pound mono, jig gone. Ties on his other jig, and next cast, same thing happens. Now we got foaming tuna all around us and nothing to throw at him at all. The only thing we had left on the boat was a Daiwa rock crawler jig, which is a rockfish jig. Kind of looks like a red torpedo sinker that has a skirt on the back, Hoochie skirt with a couple of little assist hooks. And Bobby cast that out and didn't actually make it to the foamer, but he was working it back normally like you would on the bottom in 500 feet, and a good sized bluefin ate that as well, and then of course broke that one off as well. So here we are with no lures, no tackle, no anything, and foaming fish all over the place. So we decided to run back to Newport, call it a day, and we saw fish about as close as maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles from the harbor mouth. Once we got back to the harbor, I texted my buddy Jonathan about it. He called me right back. He was on his way home from work, and he's got that brand new World Cat that he's been dying to fish on. So he launched at the Huntington Harbor and ran down there and had a 125-pound fish and a 65-pounder, probably lost a 200, all fishing solo on his spinning rod with a popper. So good for him. I'm glad he broke in his boat the right way down there. A lot of action down in that area for a couple days. You know, those fish were down off San Diego, moved up the ocean side, moved to Dana, moved up to Newport. Then they actually, I think the Victory was seeing them outside of the rigs in Long Beach on Tuesday as well. So basically everywhere. And I talked to my buddy Mitch that runs the Blackfish. I texted him about it, and he's all, what I found, he's all, dude, there's bluefin from Carlsbad to the Mackerel Bank to Farnsworth to Long Beach. So, you know, he can't remember. He said he drove through the fish all the way home from where he was till he was 3 miles from Newport Harbor. And those guys have really been on that bite good. And they've been getting a lot of nice fish on the surface lures the last few days, last week or so. So that's great to see. They're also getting nice yellows in Dorado, and you couldn't ask for a better 6-pack operation to go on as Blackfish Charters out of Newport. Speaking of great operations, I got a message from Shannon on Sea Lutions, who's a 4-pack boat on a Parker out of Newport as well, and he reported he's been having really good kelp patty fishing. Nice size yellows, big Dorado. There's some yellowfin out there, and you can always run into those bluefin at any time. And he's got a few openings coming up in September. He's usually booked pretty solid. And one of the nice things is this time of year, after Labor Day, a lot of the guys that are usually booked all year long or all summer long have some openings. So you've been thinking about going out with your favorite charter captain, now would be the time to do it. And if you're a private boater who wants to get better at fishing, you can't go wrong by hiring one of these guys to come out and show you how to fish on your own boat. And that may sound like a pretty expensive proposition. It's not going to be cheap. It's going to save you thousands of dollars in the long run because it's going to really jump your learning curve up dramatically. I was lucky enough when I started fishing offshore to have like-minded friends that I could talk to and run things off one another, bounce ideas off one another, kind of work together. But if you're somebody that's just solo and you don't have anyone to talk to about it, your learning curve is going to be really slow. But if you get somebody like a Shannon from Solutions or Mitch to come out and run your yacht, or any of these guys, if you're in San Diego, maybe Dwayne or Jamie from Seasons, or any of the younger captains who work for them, they'll share their thought process with you on how they find fish and what they do when they get there. And that's really going to help you out a lot. It's going to save you a lot of money and a lot of frustration in the future. So, the bluefin bite got kind of slower the next day. I know my buddy Spike went out and got a nice one on the surface iron out of Dana. And I know some of the sport boats were getting some nice quality fish too, both Tuesday and Wednesday. But those fish kind of petered out a little bit. They may show back up. It seems like they just started down off San Diego, ran up the coast, and looped out somewhere. And hopefully they'll set up on some more normal spots, and the boats can get back to catching them regularly. Down south, the boats are normally mostly targeting kelp patty yellows and Dorado, and a few yellowfin. I know the San Diego had some nice yellowfin the other day, and I know the Mission Bella had limits to Dorado. Those are all kelp patty fish for the most part. You can probably catch yellowfin on Dorado, on dolphins, or trolling around there with a smaller lure. And that south wind's going to be mostly on the beach, so if you get out past that, it shouldn't be too bad this weekend. But I had some more things I wanted to say, but as you can see, I'm spinning my brains out here after doing this twice, and I'm going to cut it a little bit short. We have Labor Day weekend this weekend, so I was going to fish tomorrow, but now that the wind's going to blow, I probably won't. And I really can't stand people at the launch ramp or on the water and things like that. So I'm probably going to sit Labor Day weekend out from fishing just because, as I always say, I'm not a normal person. But if you are a normal person and you don't mind fishing around other people or dealing with people at the launch ramp, and you are heading out this weekend, I hope you have a great day and wonderful Labor Day weekend, and I'll talk to you guys next week.